Hello, I'm going to solve a past exam question today from 2015. The question starts with normal distribution. Then we have conditional probability and ends with binomial distribution. The mean is provided. We don't know the standard deviation, but the first expression is the probability between 1 standard deviation below and 2 standard deviation above. So if you consider standard normal distribution, it's between -1 and 2. Just go to your calculators, distributions, normal CDF, and define -1 and 2. That's part A. In part B, we are given the probability. Please pay attention to comment term at first. It's a show that question. So I'll be solving this question by using numerical solve and normal CDF, but it is not enough for show that. Since it's a show that question and we know the standard deviation, we have to use inverse normal distribution and z-score. So that's what we have. If it was a find question, we would solve it this way. We know the area. We are given the mean 50. We don't know the standard deviation, but we know the quantile. And it is 2. We already know that. So that method is not acceptable for a show that question. So let's consider standardized normal distribution. First step is we need to find the z-score. Then apply the z-score formula. We know z-score, we know x, we know mean. We need to find the standard deviation. So that's what we are going to show on our test paper. But the process will be still done on the calculator. That's fine. You can use nsolve and write the equation. Keep it in mind, it's a show that question. Even if you don't know how to do this part, you can resume with part C later. Standard deviation is 2. Read part C, please. A nail chosen at random. So we know the area on the right, but in order to use inverse norm, we need to use area on the left. Inverse normal. Now we know everything. We just need to find the quantile. So that's 48.7. Part D starts with a condition. So a nail chosen at random from enlarged nails. So it's a conditional probability question. It doesn't start with given that or if, but from the sentence we should understand it's a conditional probability. So random variable should be less than 50.1, given that it's a large nail. So numerator is their intersection. Size should be in that interval, and it's supposed to be a large nail. I put exclamation marks here. We will come back to this section. I type my equation, press enter, and here's the probability. We have a little problem here. If you look at the mark scheme, the answer is supposed to be 0.36, but I found 0.349. The reason is the premature rounding. So yes, on a test paper I need to show my answer as 48.7, but it is not exactly 48.7. Instead, what we can do, we can store it as t, and in the formula we can use t. As you see, we can obtain the correct answer at the moment. That is really important, especially on statistics. Definitely store your answers as variable and use those variables for correct answers. And the last question is related to binomial probability. It doesn't mention about binomial probability. You are expected to know it is a binomial probability. So there are two outcomes. Probabilities are the same. And the keyword here is at least. Whenever you see at least, at most, exactly in the question, suspect about binomial probability. I wrote all the information, and the probability of having a large nail less than 50.1 is the previous answer, 0.36. As I recommended before, I save it as a variable, and in my calculation I'll be using that probability. .924 is our final answer. Thank you all for watching, and I suggest you to go over with the problem once more and do the calculations by yourself.